Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Dylan Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a breakdown on the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cleveland Browns game, the Monday Night Football matchup that could determine are the Browns for real or are they still phonies. And the reason why I say this is because every single year we look at this Browns team and we say, can they be for real? Can they be a legit contender in the AFC North? And over these past 5 years, we've been losing in week 1 constantly, but last year we won week 1 and we say, can we be for real? We stunk it up on TV last year against the Jets where we blew a 17-30 lead with like a minute 30 to go. Now we have an opportunity where we just kick the living shit out of the two-time defending AFC North champs in the Bengals. Now we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that we haven't beaten in Pittsburgh besides that one playoff game in 20 years in the regular season. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to kind of preview the game. We do have some injuries updates to go over for both teams to figure out how this could affect each team. And we're just going to kind of go over what the Browns need to do if they want to come out of this game with a W. But without further ado, if you're going to enjoy, make sure you do drop a like. It's always appreciated if you do so. And without further ado, let's get into it. Now, very brief recap of week 1. Steelers lost their game against 49ers, I believe 37-7. They got the schnock kicked out of them against 49ers. The defense, aside from TJ Watt, didn't look that good. TJ Watt, on the other hand, he had 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles, so he was pretty much a one-man wrecking crew. The rest of the defense, I don't know where they were at. And then the offense, they were pretty much MIA except for that one drive at the end of the second half where Kenny Pickett connected with Freiermuth for the touchdown. Aside from that, there was no offense. But then when you move over to the Cleveland Browns game, they were the ones kicking the ever-living snot out of the Cincinnati Bengals. Final score 24-3. Defense was looking like they are ready to compete this year. Offense, you could tell the weather was impacting, and they still seemed like Deshaun was still trying to get in tune with how the offense needs to run, and pretty much the weather. The weather was what the biggest factor was. Joe Burrow even said it as well. Like, I know somebody's going to be like, oh, you're still making excuses for the offense not being good in that game. Joe Burrow even admitted it. He said that weather, if the weather was a little bit better, they both probably could have put up some more points in that game. But now moving on to this game, what has been Cleveland's big problem with, I guess, kind of combating against Pittsburgh? First up, the environment in Pittsburgh, formerly known as Heinz Field, now Acrisure Stadium. I think that's their stadium. Just the environment in there, it is something on another level. I would say they're probably up there in top 5 hardest stadiums to play in when Pittsburgh is a legit elite team. It's a tough place to play. Number 2, Pittsburgh has always had an elite defense. It doesn't matter who their defensive coordinator was. Mike Tomlin knows defense, and he always has that defense just hunting quarterbacks, getting picks, getting turnovers. You can't say Mike Tomlin without elite defense. And then the last thing, they always had Big Ben for these past 20 years, or at least 15 to 20 years. Big Ben has just been that kind of guy where he was never like the best quarterback in the league at any point in his career, I don't think. But he always came up clutch in the end. He always was able to lead that game-winning drive, whether it was for a game-winning field goal or game-winning touchdown. He was able to lead the drive. And Cleveland's defense was never able to shut that down. But now looking at this season, what is going to be different? I'll tell you what can be different. Kenny Pickett is a little bit of a mobile guy, but when he gets pressured, he struggled a little bit. And after watching Cleveland's defensive line in the game against Cincinnati Bengals, if they can put on that sort of performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, Kenny's in for a long day. Now, I do believe Pittsburgh, they had an intention to build the offensive line up again in the offseason, in the draft. Did they do that? It's too early to tell. Obviously, week 1, you can't really tell what any team is at this point in the season. Now, let's move on to what exactly can Cleveland do to combat everything that they have, that Pittsburgh has, in order to get this win. Like I said with Cleveland's defense, let's look at all the stars across this line. Myles Garrett, Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris. We didn't even see Siaki Ika play against them. He was out in the Cincinnati game. I forget what it was. He was questionable for that game, didn't actually play. We even got a chance to see him play. Agbo Okronkwo, I'm sorry, I'm butchering the name, but he, I believe, got a sack in that game. The linebackers were getting some pressure. JOK was flying around. Anthony Walker was flying around. Sony Taki came in for a couple of downs, was able to rush the quarterback a little bit. My only issue with what Pittsburgh does well is they can get rid of the ball quickly. Against Cincinnati, they're known for going deep. They got that trio of receivers and Boyd, Higgins, and Chase. They want to go deep. So Joe Burrow is dropping back. He's trying to look for that deep route, but the pressure's coming quick. With Kenny Pickett, he's able to get rid of that ball quickly. They're just going for like little 2 or 3 yard hitches, running back going on the out route, little 5-yard curls. Nothing too crazy, just something to get the ball out fast. Pittsburgh at one time, they actually used to be a really good running team. Against San Francisco, I'm looking at the stats right now, 41 rushing yards. That's it? Then again, against San Francisco, they allowed 408 yards. 188 of it was rushing. I'm sorry, but Kevin Stefanski, if Nick Chubb doesn't put up a 100-burger of rushing yards against this Pittsburgh defensive line, you got some explaining to do. And I mean that because looking at the injury report, Pittsburgh is going to be playing without Cameron Hayward, DeMarvin Leal, two great edge guys and defensive line players, especially with Cameron Hayward not being out there. Oh my God, run the ball, dude. The only question mark that the Browns do have a little bit is how is DeJuan Jones going to fare against TJ Watt? Because for those of you who did not hear the news, Jack Conklin, he tore his ACL. He's done for the year. DeJuan Jones, it's your time, bud. It's your chance to shine. You're in that spot. You're the right tackle now. Could TJ Watt, though, move around? He could. He might just start off the game. He might be looking at DeJuan Jones saying like, fresh meat. I'm going to get sacks all day long. Because I'm willing to make a prediction. This isn't going to be a game where TJ Watt just gets maybe like 1 sack. He's either going to get no sacks or 5 sacks. There's no in between. He's either going to get locked up by DeJuan Jones or he's just going to make DeJuan Jones a Happy Meal. I cannot see it being somewhere in between. It's going to be one or the other. If you disagree with that, let me know in the comments. Now, moving on to the Browns secondary, what is something that's going on with Pittsburgh that could help them out a little bit there? Deontay Johnson, the receiver from Pittsburgh Steelers, he's currently rated at doubtful at the time of recording this, so he's probably not going to play as well. This means that Pittsburgh is going to be going heavy, and I mean heavy, of Kenny Pickett to George Pickens all game long. What I would say there, Denzel Ward, you are going, anytime we are in man coverage, you're getting put on George Pickens, and that's your guy. And then when we're in zone, double team Pickens. That should be the game plan. And from the way Grant Delpit played against the Bengals, when it comes to double teams, I don't care who the corner is, whether it's Ward, Emerson, or Newsome. Get Delpit or even Thornhill. He should be back for this game. Get him over there to double team with whoever the corner is covering. Now let's talk about the Cleveland Browns offense. Deshaun Watson. Like I said with DeJuan Jones covering up TJ Watt. If DeJuan Jones can lock up TJ Watt, you have no excuse but to be able to rip this ball all over the field. If we can get the run game going, the offensive line can hold up, give him at least the average time, I believe, is like 3 seconds. If Deshaun Watson can get 3 seconds, this offense should be able to thrive. Get the run game going, get some play action moving. If it's not raining, Deshaun, we saw you in that Bengals game when it wasn't raining, you were able to just get a nice flick on the ball, get the ball flying around. When it was raining, you looked dog shit. But when it wasn't raining, you look like your old self. So what I'm hoping is, if it doesn't rain, say it's maybe just like I believe I looked at the weather, it's supposed to be like maybe 60, 65 degrees, a chance of showers. I'm hoping it holds off. We'll see how that goes. But if it doesn't rain, Deshaun, and we've gone over this before, we're not looking for you to go out there and put up 4 or 5 touchdowns. If this run game can get thriving, and Deshaun's stat line by the end of the game can be like 20 to 30 passing, maybe 2 touchdowns for about like 250, 300 yards, and we get the win, that is an amazing game out of you. Now, obviously, if you go for more, that's elite. But the way Pittsburgh looked against San Francisco last week, I really don't think Cleveland needs to do a lot to be able to beat this Pittsburgh team. Now, as we've been saying, week 1, it's overreaction Monday is what we like to call it. There's a lot of overreactions going on right now. Could Pittsburgh just have had a really bad game? That is very welcome to pretty much say. That could have just been like the worst game possible they could have had, and they could, for all you know, could just go on like a 16-game win streak right now. Now, obviously, I don't see that happening, but you get what I'm saying. But the same could be said for the Cleveland Browns. They beat the shit out of the Bengals. We're getting high on them. Our emotions are way up here. When in reality, it could have just been the rain. The Bengals just could have just had a really bad game, and the Browns could just go out here and just get the dog shit beat out of them, like 7-30. But I'm gonna wrap it up with this: if the Browns win this game, this is gonna be legendary for the city of Cleveland and for the organization of the Cleveland Browns. And the reason why is this: Cleveland has not beaten, like I said, the Pittsburgh Steelers in Cleveland in a regular season game in like 20 years. If they can beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are pretty much putting out there to Pittsburgh and to every team in the division: we are not just the bitch in the division. We are not that. We are to be feared. We are to be respected. We are to be acknowledged as a good team in this division and in the whole conference, to be fair. Now, am I saying Cleveland's going to go out there and just butt whip Pittsburgh? No. I think this is going to be a close game. I'm saying it's going to be something around like 20, I'm going to say it's like a 31 to 27 win, somewhere in there. But other than that, that's all I got to discuss for today's video. If you wanted to enjoy today's video, make sure you do drop a like. It's always appreciated if you do so. If you're a fan of the channel and you are enjoying the content that I do post here, you're a fan of the Cleveland Browns, and you want to stay up to date with just updates and news, and just watch me talk about Cleveland Browns sports Even Cleveland Guardians sports, their season doesn't look good. Talk about them in a little bit. Discuss maybe some Cleveland Cavaliers news. If you're a fan of all that stuff and you want to go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button, make sure you do so, and don't forget to hit that little notification bell so you're notified the second I post. If you disagree with anything I said here in today's video, or agreed, maybe you're a Steelers fan, Browns fan, whatever you may be, you want to discuss it, talk about it, drop your opinion down in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about all the things that I said. But without further ado, this has been Dylan Talk Sports. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.